Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk. We're back on Devil's Advocate yet again because it seems like Man United games don't stop right now. This is our third in 9 days, I want to say. We've got one coming up, obviously, on Saturday, probably the biggest derby. You can keep discussing earlier on, probably the biggest derby in a long time, along with a couple more to come in the next week or so. So lots of Man United content is coming. But we are going to discuss the Manchester derby. That kicks off on Saturday at 12:30. And Keane, you said to me just before we went live, you think this is the biggest derby of the last decade. Do you care to explain why you think that?
Yeah, so look, this is the biggest derby in the last decade, I think. When you consider how close we are in the table right now, I think, look, we're very close to the table. I think it's a new era of Manchester United under Erik Ten Hag. This is probably the best football we've played in the last decade. I know we had the purple patch under Jose Mourinho, but the football wasn't great under him. Granted, we won a couple of trophies, but the football wasn't great. And look, I think we're on a high. City at the moment, aren't in the greatest of form. And when you actually consider how we've been playing at the minute, it's probably the derby we've gone into with the most positivity. I know you mentioned actually the derby under Solskjaer right before the lockdown, where look, we were getting our club back, and look, I know we're going to talk about our favorite derbies and stuff like that later on in the podcast. But I think, look, this is a massive, massive game for many Man United fans. Obviously, look, there's a lot of moving parts going into it, which we will discuss. And look, there's a big fan protest as well. This Saturday, obviously, 1958 have arranged actually two protests for Saturday. One leaving from the Gorse at 11:30, and one leaving from the tollgate at 11:30. I personally will be leaving from the tollgate. So any Reds who do watch this podcast, look, drop me a message Saturday. Meet me up the tollgate. Look, we will be going from there to Old Trafford 11:30 Saturday. Do join us from 1958 and do join the fight against the parasites that do own this football club.
Absolutely, no, well said, and I'm sure you will enjoy Saturday. I will not be attending on Saturday. I'm not making a 400-mile round trip, especially with Barcelona coming up in sort of a month's time. Yeah. So we are going to talk all things the derby. Now, one thing we do need to talk about is obviously last time we played Man City earlier in the season, we got absolutely battered. Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick and Phil Foden ran riot. And really, we weren't in the game. Good goal from Anthony at the start of the second half, and then not really much else to offer apart from a couple of little sparks. But I would say that the way our defence has been certainly post the World Cup break, we couldn't really be in better form. We've really only conceded one goal, and that's because De Gea basically just kicked the ball in his own net. Do you think that our defence, and particularly Varane and Martinez, new World Cup winner Martinez, have enough to stop Haaland? Because I personally think Martinez did quite well against Haaland in the first game. I don't think he was the issue. I think they got a lot of joy down past the fullbacks. But yeah, do you think our centre-back duo can stop Haaland, who maybe isn't on the best form right now, but I can't see that lasting very long?
Look, I think our centre-back pairing are in great form at the minute. I think obviously, look, we've Varane with an exceptional World Cup, brilliant, one of the best, especially in the knockout stages. He was an absolute brick wall. He was absolutely class. Unfortunately for him in the final, he came off with cramp. It was he literally ran himself into the ground that day. But yeah, look, I think Raphael Varane can definitely be a key figure in stopping Erling Haaland, especially when you consider early on in the derby in the first fixture. Yeah, he did come off early. Albeit granted, we still did concede. But I actually, when I look back at the last derby, I really think a lot of it came down to the midfield selection from Erik Ten Hag. And I said to you on the previous preview podcast, I didn't think McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno should have been the midfield. I said that. Yeah. I said we should go Casemiro, McTominay, Bruno at the time, because I thought it would kind of close the gaps in the space that City do in midfield, especially when they played between the lines. And look, that was evident in the first couple of minutes of the last derby, where City picked us off midfield. Eriksen and McTominay and Bruno, the three of them didn't have the positional sense to be as a good compact defensive unit. And then obviously Raphael Varane going off was a look. It was a harsh thing to happen. And look, we conceded 6, we scored 3, and yeah, look, it wasn't great. And if you actually deep it in terms of that game, We only conceded one. I think it was we won the second half 2-1, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, did we draw the second half? I can't even remember.
I'll check for you.
Yeah, I remember when Casemiro came on, he made a massive difference in our midfield.
Yeah.
We played a lot better and we were more solid. So yeah, look, it's hopefully going to be a different game. Not every game of football is the same. Old Trafford is going to be rocking. So look, I really do think this is a fixture where we can go into it with some confidence. As Lisandro Martinez has been up there, William Saliba as the best centre back in the league this season. Yeah. Luke Shaw has been exceptional since the derby. He came on in the derby and actually had a very good second half when he came on, and he's come on leaps and bounds since that game. So, like, when I look at our defence, and look, credit where it's due, even the goalkeeper has been good. And like in the last 12 months, I haven't been giving David De Gea much praise at all. Mm-hmm. But to be fair to him, he has been quite good. So, yeah. Look, for me, I think I trust our defence, and the fact we've Casemiro in front of him, I do trust them to do a lot better than the last game. Now, will it be enough? I don't know, because we know when Manchester City do turn up, and if they're on their game, they beat anybody in world football, like anybody. Yeah. Like I've been to the last derby at Old Trafford last season. We barely touched the ball in the game. Like, it was torture. Not gonna lie, that day I was so disheartened because there was lack of fight, lack of desire. And then the people always say, like, Joe, they hate the word passion, desire, but in a derby game, you need that. I know obviously you need the technical ability, you need to obviously football prowess, but in these games as well, you do need to have passion, you do need to have desire, you do need to have that want to go the extra yard. And look, we didn't that day. And I think this has to be different, because like when you take into consideration where we are on the table, we do need to make a statement. If we're serious in terms of even like, look, title talk at the minute it's premature. I still think, like, look, to be fair, I'd love to get giddy and say we're in the title race. I think, look, these like next couple of league games is going to be the tell them whether we are in the title race or not. Like, if we come out of this City game, Palace and Arsenal with 7 points, I say yes, we are in the title race. Yeah, like 100%. If we come out,
we've played the two teams in the league then, and we've got points out of them both. Well, if we can beat Arsenal twice, means we beat Arsenal. Yeah. Yeah, that's like
even the fact we've Palace bang in the middle of the City and Arsenal game. Like, I do think, like, if we get 7 points from 9, it's a very good statement of where we are. Because remember when we had Tottenham and we had Arsenal and all them in kind of that same little bracket earlier on this season. Yeah. And I said at the time, if we get 5 or 7 points out of 9 there, it wouldn't be bad. Because considering, like, look, I'm still quite pessimistic as to kind of, can we do it in the big games? I think Ralph Rangnick's Man United really haunted me, because, like, look, his record of big games last year, bar Spurs, would look Spurs at the end of the day. Like, it was abysmal. Like that game at Anfield and that game he had last season were fucking scandalous. they really, really were. So, like, for me, I just want to see a good performance. I want to see good organisation. I want to see from that first minute, that it's whether it's Kevin De Bruyne or Erling Haaland or Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, whoever it may be. Like, I do hope that they put it on him. That they put it on him in that first couple of minutes. And let him know, like, look, you're not getting anything easier here. Yes, look, the last 2 derbies at Old Trafford have been easy ones for you. So the one you had was easy. Nothing's coming easy. I think, look, Erik Ten Hag will instill that in the players.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you want a marked improvement on what we saw at the Etihad earlier on in the season, because that was just, like you said, it wasn't good enough. And we won we drew the second half, I believe. No, we won it 3-2. Sorry, we won it 3-2. Yeah, because we were 4-0 down at halftime. So they came out and scored 2, but we scored 3 after halftime. So if we go by the latest half that we played against Man City, then we're in the driving seat. But still, it's really hard to be confident the way that these games have gone in the past few seasons. We've had the odd upset and the odd decent performance. So I think Ten Hag will ensure a much better performance as what we saw earlier on in the season. You mentioned the midfield being the issue in the first game with Eriksen, with Bruno and McTominay. the first time round. Now, we would hope and we would expect that Casemiro was going to start in the centre of that midfield to try and keep players like De Bruyne, players like Bernardo Silva, Foden, anyone who's sort of having to float through that middle third at bay, because that's what he does really, really well. He's also really, really good on the ball and gives us an extra option to break the lines and does it quickly, showing his quality, especially on transition. He showed that through the week when he came on against Charlton. He showed his quality in transition of just getting the ball out from under his feet and hitting a great pass. So what sort of role can Casemiro play in this game? Can Casemiro single-handedly win us this game, or is he going to need a supporting cast of midfielders that are very mobile and are pressing monsters and are looking for the ball?
I think, with the midfield, I think obviously, I think Casemiro is key to this, because I think he organised the midfield, he tells people where to go, he reads the game very well. He always anticipates where the ball is going to be, and he snuffs out attacks very quickly. So, I do think Casemiro is going to be key. Can he do it on his own? Definitely not. I think, if I'll name my starting 11 later on the podcast, but I do think in midfield, Ten Hag has to really think about what's going to be the best, the best setup for this game, because when I look at the last game and I look how easily they played through our midfield, and it really put pressure on our fullbacks. It really put pressure on our centre halves, and our defensive stability in that first half was so bad. It was really so bad, and I think that was down to the midfield selection. And I know people even within this podcast criticised my midfield selection before that game because I could see it coming. Yes, we were doing well against Liverpool, but Liverpool's midfield was aging. Arsenal's midfield isn't the same type of midfield and what City's is. And it's the same from combat sports, fighting. Styles make fights, right? That's a saying you hear in fighting, in combat sport. That applies to football too. Different styles of play do make games of football. And for that particular midfield that we did choose, that McTominay, Bruno, Eriksen midfield, it wasn't enough defensively to cope with the Man City's transition with the way they play football. Yeah. So with their way their fullbacks come in and smother your midfield as well. When I look at that midfield, it just wasn't defensively astute to deal with that, and that's why I think Casemiro could be key. I do think Fred could actually play this game, because when you look at Fred's with Fred's recent performances, his ability to win second balls, win the ball back and actually release it quickly has been actually quite impressive.
He's sneaky good against City too. I don't know why. He just tends to be okay against City. His energy and things like that, I think, match up really well to Rodri and players like that. Yeah,
and Bernard, the likes of Silva and stuff like that. Yeah, look, he's had good games against City before. I do think, he could start. I think if we're looking at the two, Bruno or Eriksen, who's going to be the one, I think Eriksen may make way. Just because I think, defensively, and look, he's 31 with a pacemaker. He can't play every couple of days. He simply can't. I have to I'm not even trying to make a joke. I'm I do think we have to mind them. And I do think in this intense game, where if we're going to want to use the home crowd and we're going to want to be on top of them, I think Christian Eriksen, if the game is open later on, yes, you bring him on 110%. But I do think when I look at this and look at the way Fred breaks up play and how he snuffs out attacks, I think if you have a left-hand side of Luke Shaw, Fred at the left centre box-to-box midfielder, and then you have Rashford there, you have plenty of work rate with that City right-hand side, especially look at Rico Lewis is starting right back. I think, we could try.
I think he'll revert to Cancelo, but yeah.
Yeah, potentially, but he's been crap right back recently. He's been very crap when he's played right back recently. So I wonder, is he moving back over to the left? And then Kyle Walker could play as well, because he played centre half the other night. So it depends kind of what way he goes. But there's a lot
to counter Rashford.
Yeah. So look, I think whatever right back plays there, whether it's Cancelo, Walker, or Lewis, I do think if we're looking at how we can win this game, I think down at their right hand side could be their Achilles heel, because Rashford has done Walker on multiple occasions. Yeah. Rico Lewis, I'm thinking look, he's impressed me. He's done well, but he hasn't had the Rashford test. And we've seen how Trent Alexander-Arnold, when he came in to that Liverpool team, how a player like Rashford could exploit his inexperience. Even though, granted, Rashford was a bit inexperienced at that time as well, but he was a bit ahead in terms of development with Trent. So I think Rashford could be definitely key to win this game. And look, it's all about us being up for it. I think we have to match their intensity in midfield because, look, they got beat by Southampton the other night and they're going to want to make a statement and say, like, look, it's not over. Like, Arsenal are ahead in the league. Like, William Bryant has been texting me the last 2 weeks, beat City, beat City, beat City. Arsenal fans are praying for a Man United win this weekend, not realising if we'll win, we beat the next
weekend. Another team on their tail, yeah. Team chasing them.
If anything, Arsenal fans should be wanting to draw this week. But, like, look, there's so many different, I think, battles on the pitch that are going to be crucial. Like, look, if Phil Foden starts left midfield, we seen last season when he started out on the left, how he isolated Aaron Wan-Bissaka out there. And look, if Diogo Dalot isn't fit, if that happens again, we may have a problem.
Yeah.
And look, Anthony, to be fair, his defensive work rate's been a lot better in the last couple of weeks, and it's something that, like, I've really been impressed with. So if he can keep that up and he can track his man, and like obviously if Cancelo is that left back that he stops his inverted runs as well, look, it could be very important. But yeah, look, I know it's a long-winded answer, but I think there's a lot of individual battles, Greg, that I think will be key. Will be key this week. And look, we just need to go out there and everyone needs to put in a shift. I know, look, games are won with quality, but everyone has to put in a shift because against a Pep Guardiola team, his teams are like, always put in 100%. And like, look, there's even little players like Julian Alvarez we need to watch out for. He mightn't play from the start, but if he comes on, his pace in behind, his tenacity is going to be something that we could struggle with as well.
Yeah,
like Riyad Mahrez tends to have stormers every now and again. Hasn't done it much against us, but you never know. So look, like with Pep, I know we're going to talk about Pep and his.
I was going to say that sort of leads us into it. Like you've obviously mentioned, Rico Lewis might start. Mahrez, we don't know. We don't know if Foden will start on the left. Will Pep over-tinker? Will he do the classic? Will he play that? Remember, he said just before the Southampton game he has many ideas. He doesn't know what he's going to do yet for the derby. He said it afterwards as well. So he's clearly, I don't want to say seen as a threat, but he knows Man United can hurt any team with the way that they're playing just now and the way that Man United have played with players like Rashford, players like Anthony, a player like Casemiro in midfield, Bruno. Like he knows that we've got the capabilities to hurt him. So do we think Pep will overthink and over-tinker, or do you think he'll just go, this is the most experienced lineup for this game? I think he'll do that. I think Walker will start really at right back to sort of counter Rashford's pace. He'll just go the best sort of team available. Cancelo will go back in the left back. Rodri will start in midfield with Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne. And then it's likely to be Grealish, Haaland, Foden, I would have thought, to sort of open up the front. I can't see him starting players like Alvarez. I don't think he'll go to a front two, which a lot of people have been talking about on Twitter. Like, he might be going to a front two with Haaland and Alvarez. He tried that a bit last night, and it looked okay, but they didn't create enough. But my issue is they won't be that bad again. I would have loved them to be okay last night, and then if they wanted to be that bad, they could be that bad on Saturday. But last night they were really quite poor, and Pep will kick them up a gear. So do you think they'll overthink, or do you think they'll just keep it simple, go out, professional, get the job done? Because we say that it's a massive derby. And yeah, this isn't. If City lose this, we can't outright say they're not going to win the league because they've got the quality to. They've got this quality to go on 15, 16, 17 game win streaks. We know they can do that better than any other team in this league. So do you think Pep will just be like, we're going to make sure we don't lose the game and then we can work on winning it? Or do you think it's a case of we're going to go out here and we're going to do what we did at the Etihad?
It's a weird one because Pep in the big games has overthink situations. Look, I think the Champions League final has stood out to me as one of them biggest overthinkers when he didn't start Rodri in that game. I think, like, look, if you look at the way Chelsea counter-attacked him that day, look, the proof is in the pudding that day. We've seen him overthink against Liverpool multiple times. Even at Stamford Bridge a couple of weeks ago, and look, I know they got the result in the end, but even playing Cancelo right wing, going back three and stuff like that, like there is times where he tinkers, and sometimes it pays off. Other times it doesn't. But I think you're right. I think he might go kind of his most experienced 11. Maybe go Cancelo left back, Walker right back to try match Rashford.
João Felix has just been sent off for Chelsea.
Good thing we're on the show. Look, it's strange. I do think he probably will go for that most experienced lineup, because I don't think you can afford to tinker here. And I'm not just like saying that because I'm a Man United fan. I think in a derby, like, forget about a game against like Liverpool, right? That's not a derby. People, whatever the way Manchester City and Liverpool fans dress it up, it's not a derby compared to what the Manchester derby is. The Manchester derby is a bigger game than that. Same way if we're playing Liverpool, that takes more significance when we play. If we play Liverpool, that's a bigger game when we play Arsenal, let's say, for example. Like I think Pep will know in the back of his mind he can't overthink too much. He probably will have to go with his most experienced 11. Because Sir Alex done it for so many years in these big games. He'd play, that he won't overthink, but in this game, right, play my most experienced, most solid 11. So, like, 1 week, Scholes might come out, but Darren Fletcher will go in, to solidify the midfield. Like this week, does he go like, De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in midfield? Maybe does he go with Silva on the right and then they'll bring Gundogan in, for experience in the big game and retaining possession. So, like, I think there's so many things that Pep Guardiola could do, and I just think at this moment in time, I think there's a bit of a fine line at the minute, kind of. Like the smallest mistake could make the biggest difference. And look, that's not just on Pep's side as well. I think that's on Ten Hag's side. Like Ten Hag. Look, I'm not going to turn around and say naively here, because look, I don't want to come across as someone who's criticizing the manager at the minute, because the manager is doing fucking fantastic. He's really impressed me since the start of the season, how he's combated so many situations and the style of football we've been playing in such a short space of time. But we've seen how that midfield selection in the last derby affected us. And wherever people might dress up, we need to play the same way. We need to play attractive football. Sometimes in the big games, you have to admit, right, there's going to be a part in this game where we're going to have a deficiency on the ball. But you know what? In the long run in the game, we're going to win the game 1-0, 2-1. Do you know what I mean? Rather than lose the game 3-1. Do you know what I mean? There has to be... Or 6-3, for example. There has to be, that balance. And I think, look, Ten Hag will definitely know it after that this time. Because I think the rude awakenings he's got this season have been Brentford, Man City and Villa away. They've been the rude awakenings Erik Ten Hag has got.
Brighton's a battering too, but it was more errors than sort of getting outplayed.
But like, if you look at, like, I suppose how Ten Hag has got a rude awakening in the Premier League and knowing that not every game is the same. It's definitely been Brentford, Man City and Villa. Because Villa, he knew he couldn't play Ronaldo up front. That game, he knew, right, he can't play here anymore. I think you look at Brentford, there's no way he can start Harry Maguire as a first choice centre back. He learned that very, very quickly. And like, look, there's so many different things, I think, with Erik Ten Hag that he can exploit this Manchester City team. And look, I know they say a wounded animal is a dangerous one, but hungry lion, it's more dangerous, and that's what Manchester United are at the minute.
Got to be there for the taking. Like, we've got to be bullish in some sense that City aren't on the better run of form, and that Ten Hag's guided this Man United team to 20 wins in his first 27 games, which is a feat which has surpassed any Manchester United manager ever. He's the quickest to 20 wins. So he's got us playing in a way that works. I don't think we're playing in the most efficient way to him. I think there's a few holes where he's like, people will do here, but I want something different. Like De Gea, like Martial, Eriksen, I don't think's in his best position in terms of where Ten Hag would want him to play. But I think that what he's managing to do is put enough quality around where he sees the problems, and it's working for United really well. I do think in the City game it was sort of find out, just see. Like, I don't think he genuinely thought that McTominay is going to play better than Casemiro in this game. Like, in general, like, he's not going to have a better game than Casemiro would. But I think he did take a lot of warning and from maybe people around him that had been in and around English football, that Casemiro didn't have the legs, which he's proved he does have. So that's why McTominay was sort of slotted into that place. And yeah, I just think that, especially in the derby, I think he was just sort of tinkering, and he just thought that it's a free hit. he can sort of he can find out a little bit more. But whereas in this situation, he can't really, because we could genuinely be a point off City if we manage to beat them on Saturday, and then who knows? You beat Palace, you beat Arsenal, and there's talks of a title. And let's be honest, Ten Hag only has to do it once, and he's in folklore for Manchester United. If he's that manager to get the title after Fergie.
I'll tell you now, Greg, even if he challenges for the title for this season and wins the Carabao Cup, he's the best manager post-Fergie.
And
people talk about Mourinho winning the Europa League, right, and League Cup, right? But he never made a serious title charge. Yes, he finished second. Yes, Ollie finished second. Ollie had a closer points to what Man City did when he finished second. But the key thing is there was never a serious, sustained charge for the title under any of these managers. And I think if Ten Hag can do that this year, great. But I think, I still think right now top 4 has to be the aims. Get Champions League football in.
I agree.
Hopefully the Glazers fuck off. And then, see this little thing where, every little media outlet at the minute are making up different stories in terms of United will be able to spend this, United won't be able to spend that. Here's the thing. When new owners come in, they're going to pay off the debt from them transfers that we owe. Because that's part of the debt. It's part of the club right now. Yeah. That will exist when them new owners come in, because that debt will have to be cleared off when they come in. So FFP won't affect Man United, because if we make the Champions League, that's extra revenue. Now, it's a different story if we don't make the Champions League, even if new owners come in. There's going to be a loss with that Adidas deal that I think really could affect this at the moment. But look, I think the Champions League is so important, because do you see these little races in the summer for the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Jude Bellingham, I know you said Donny van de Beek, for fuck's sake, Enzo Fernandez, Frankie de Jong, that midfield merry-go-round in the summer. If we have Champions League football, we can attract these best players. So, I think for Erik Ten Hag, it'd be great if we can win the title or even challenge for a title, but I still think we have to have our heads screwed on. Remember, we're still part of a rebuilding process. And if we can challenge for it, absolutely fantastic, fucking great. But I think the best thing we can do is just get into that top 4 and then go from there.
I agree, yeah. Get top 4 this season. Not saying if the title's there to win it, you don't win it, but top 4 has to be the aim. And I think Ten Hag's probably reiterating that to his team as well. Top 4's got to be the aim. And if you can get a trophy along the way, I'd love to win even a League Cup, just to win something again. It starts things.
I tell you now, yeah, thanks, Sean boy. Nice one. But I think I'd love if we get to the final and we get Southampton again, just for my own selfish purpose, because I was there in 2017, and when Zlatan scored the winner, I nearly got a broken nose. It was absolute limbs when he scored. It'd be absolutely fantastic. Well, either way, I think win the trophy is so important. I think this season, one of the domestic cups or the Europa League. I was looking at the bookies odds today, and Arsenal are 16-5, Barcelona are second favourites, we're third favourites, we're 8-1 to win Europa League. I thrown a tenner on it today, because I seen it was 8-1. I was like, do you know what? We touched on that a few minutes ago. It made me quite happy, because it kind of eased the blow of not getting Felix. I know Greg wasn't a fan of us getting them, but I was. But yeah, it's what's done is done. But yeah, it would be great to win them trophies. And I did throw a tenner today on United in Europa League. It was 8-1. If it happens, be a nice little bet there. Right. But yeah, we move.
It's got to be top 4's got to be the target. You're right, and I agree that the fact if new owners come in and we've got Champions League, we're spending money. Doesn't matter.
We're spending loads of money. I'll say this now: if we get new owners, all bets are off. If we get the Champions League, in terms of
we will spend stupid money.
It'll be a 300 million window. It'll be like what Todd Bowley did, hopefully with more planning.
As long as it's what the players that Ten Hag wants. I don't want it to just be well, he's a big name. I want it to be Ten Hag being well,
look, what if they done this though? I know I said he's a big name, but what if they turned around and said, fuck it, let's get Mbappe? What if they done something like that? I wouldn't complain.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? That'd be crazy.
Just imagine, right, in this new. I know we're kind of going off topic, and look, it's grand. We've plenty of time anyway. But imagine with new ownership that the new owner, whoever it is, obviously there's loads of people interested. Imagine they said look, Rashford and Mbappe have this friendship. Mbappe wants Rashford.
Just go get Mbappe.
It's like, fuck it, look, fuck Paris Saint-Germain, we're getting them. Nice one. It would be a statement, but like, look, that's a pipe dream. It literally is a pipe dream.
It's quite far-fetched, yeah. I don't know what I've just done, but there we go.
I thought Kane from WWE was coming out there.
I think, as long as it's players that sort of Ten Hag wants. And here's a quick, because I don't know, obviously, we can do 11s in that later. If Weghorst gets done, do you think he'll? I think he'll start. If Weghorst gets done, by the way,
I'll give my predicted 11 at the end, but I don't think he will. I think he'll be on the bench. I think Martial will start considering what he done in the last derby. I know we didn't win, but he was the best player on the pitch.
I just think Martial has been crap.
But his record against City speaks for itself.
Yeah, I suppose so. So yeah, we're in the same camp that we think Pep might overtinker, but you also might just see it as a chance to just be like, we're not going to lose this game, and then we can work on it from there. Because really, if he's building on yesterday being sort of ground zero for this Man City side, they can only go up. Because I don't know how much of the game you watched yesterday, but it wasn't good at all.
I didn't watch the game, but like I watched the highlights, and I always do before a big game. I always like to see what the rival fans are saying, and look, it was. They're saying it's actually the worst they've played.
It probably is. It may be the worst they've played under Pep in a while. Yeah, it could be the worst they've played under Pep in a long time. Maybe the Champions League semi-final during COVID, during lockdown, wasn't a great game. That might have been worse last night. They just couldn't link anything. It was weird, but I don't think they'll play that badly again, which is what I'm fearful about. It's always not great when a team gets like hammered just before they play you, especially it's a team like Man City. So talking to the derby, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about our favourite derbies of the past. I'm going to tell you my favourite. I think it's my favourite derby, but it's more so because sort of like the age I was at high school. Obviously, I had loads of friends that were a couple of friends that were Man United fans, 2 or 3 friends that were Man City fans. So it's quite good that this sort of happened. It's the Van Persie free kick derby when Nasri's hiding behind the walls, doesn't want to get hit in the face, and Van Persie just curls in a beautiful free kick, like top corner, and it's just so good. Like that's probably my favourite. Yeah, that's probably my favourite derby. I think just because I remember the feeling of it, of like
the significance of it that day.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just going in and being like. Yeah, exactly. It was just like, this is going to be ours now. Like the league was just ours at that point, or it certainly felt like it. And it was crazy because it was at that time where City were starting to build, and you sort of felt this aura coming that this isn't going to be as easy. I don't think anyone predicted the next 10 years Man United were going to have after that season to be this bad. If you did, I don't know what was going through your head, but I certainly never saw this coming. I didn't think I'd be waiting over 10 years for another title. I didn't think that was going to be the case. I was like, right, Moyes will come in a couple of years, and then that'll be fine. And then Moyes was a train wreck. And then
you know what? Of all the managers we had post Fergie, I thought Jose Mourinho was a sure thing. Do you know what I mean?
I thought Van Gaal was. I still think third season Van Gaal.
We always have this discussion. We always disagree.
But by the point that he got sacked, we'd already gone through the not scoring at home for like 7 games. We'd already gone through that. That was like January to March. So, and then we won the League Cup. Won the FA Cup. And then he got sacked, and I was like, well, I would have understood it if it was like after the no goals at Old Trafford or anything like that. But we'd already done all that hard bit, and then it seemed like we were coming out at the end of it, and then they just got rid of him. It was quite weird, but I suppose they thought that with what you thought with Jose, surefire thing, they clearly had that lined up, that he was going to come in and try and win us a title. But I thought third season Van Gaal would have been the one, because we'd gone through the hardship and we'd gone through the tough times, and we'd stuck with him more than we've stuck with Moyes. I know Moyes got beat more, but
do you know what is strange? It rattles me. It rattles me in hindsight, right? I always think about, what if we didn't buy Ronaldo under Ollie and we gave him that DM? that rattles me because I think we wouldn't have had so much of a bad season last season if that happened. In hindsight, I know Ronaldo's return was brilliant. Look, would I take would
you do it all again?
I do it all. Look, I take the pain what happened this season because I went to multiple games when he scored multiple winners last season. Like that game against Atlanta when we came back from 2-0 down and he scored the winner. I
was in the hospital watching that with my dad and genuinely jumping up with up in the room that he was in. It was insane. Nurses came in and said, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah, just my son being an idiot." I was like, "Cool."
Yeah. I was pissed that night. And Owen, who often came on this pod, will know. It was different. The Arsenal game we went to together last season.
Yeah.
Ronaldo scored.
I'm happy. I got to see him. I got to see him score again for United. But I don't know.
This season, his last goal. I was at the Sheriff game this season. His last goal. Something I will hold. I see Ronaldo's last goal for Manchester United. Something I will tell the grandkids.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm older and I'm sitting on the chair with a cigar. I'd be like, do you know Cristiano Ronaldo? I seen his last goal for Manchester United.
I think it could have been avoided, but I just think, see if they both just swallowed their pride and left in the summer. Like if they both just swallowed their pride, Ten Hag and Ronaldo.
Yeah,
because that's what it was really. It was a battle of pride, and you're going to be doing it my way, and that was sort of what both each other like. Ten Hag wanted Ronaldo to do things his way, quite rightly. He's the manager, he's the coach, he's the one in charge. And Ronaldo wanted Ten Hag to do things his way, which isn't how it works. And it might have worked like that under Ollie, but not in this new way that Man United were going to do it. So I feel like it could have been avoided. If we just got rid of him in the summer, it'd have been a much better. And I said that to you in May when he started sulking about transfer. But there was all that week. I'm not happy with transfer rumours and stuff like that. And I was like, he's sulking. I guarantee you he won't be at Man United at the end of next season. I remember saying that. So yeah, what would be your favourite derby then? Mine being the 2012 free kick derby. That's how I remember it. What about yours?
That is one of my favourites. Obviously, the one in 2009 when Michael Owen scored the winner. That game was unbelievable. I remember I was watching it at my nanny's house, and like I told you before, my nanny's house is full of Liverpool fans, and they're all hoping for a 6-0. And that was interesting because I literally ran up the stairs and I flipped the bird at everyone in that room. And when Owen scored the goal, because obviously he's a former Liverpool player as well, so that was glorious. But do you know what? We mentioned it backstage. Do you know what one felt special to me? It was the one right before the COVID lockdown, when we beat City 2-0, and they scored that goal from the halfway line, Lob and Ederson, and just that feeling because we're on a good little run of results. We signed Bruno, we had that good run of results. We're progressing Europa League. We're chasing top 4 at the time, and it kind of like, do you know that feel good factor? It felt like we had our Man United back at the time because we had a Man United man in Solskjaer there. We were playing good. We were starting to play good football. Bruno Fernandes was there, a player who I was clamoring for us to sign 6 months beforehand. Steve McGrath will tell you we were in the same workplace. We were in the office, and I walked up to Steve in August of transfer deadline day when Spurs were really, really close to signing Bruno Fernandes. I turned around to Steve and said, "You're getting a brilliant, brilliant footballer there." Like, because you linked with United at the time. And I was like, he's someone who I think would make a difference at either Spurs or United. Consequently, Daniel Levy is too much for a tight little bastard. We signed him in January, and I think that the rest, the rest is history. And like, look, when Ollie turned around, there was lashing rain, and he looked up at Fergie and David Gill, and he was like that. I was like, that moment we've done that, I just really, like when the football was bad under him, I still got behind him because he was my guy. He's one of our own. And
I didn't want him to succeed. I didn't think he was gonna.
Do you know what? I just really wanted Solskjaer to do well at that time after that derby. I said, what? I don't give a fuck what happens. I just want this man to win us a trophy. Like that Europa League final broke my heart because I think a lot could have changed if we won that. A lot could have changed. The players could have had a different mentality going into the new season. I know it's all hypothetical. It's all if, buts, and maybes. But I think, look, if there was any manager post Fergie I wanted to succeed more with Solskjaer. Look, it didn't happen. But look, luckily now we have the best ball manager in Manchester at the moment. So
that's a good choice. I forgot the Michael Owen derby was because it was like 90 plus 6 he scored, wasn't it? Like he'd come on as a sub.
Mark Hughes is going off at the fourth official.
Yeah, proper Fergie time, classic Fergie time. Yeah, that was a great one. That's up there. But it always seems to be the one where you win really late on, isn't it? Or like you say, the 2-0 one was good. I did like
that was late on as well. That was like last minute as well.
Sorry,
2-0 one was last minute as well.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Scott McTominay absolutely hammered it from.
Remember, Fred played the over, like he overcooked the pass to Dan James, and Ederson swept, and next thing he overthrown his pass with the wet surface, and then McTominay then just
he'll never hit a ball like that again, but he doesn't need to. He did it once.
Don't be trying that this week, Scott. If you're watching,
absolutely. So you've obviously looked at this. I've not really looked so much into this, but I will definitely give my thoughts on it. What would your combined Man United and Man City 11 be based on form?
Based on this season?
We're based on this season's form, not who's the better player, because we know Cancelo's a fantastic footballer and we know Jack Grealish is a great player and things like that. But based on form, what would be your combined 11? Playing in a 4-3-3.
4-3-3, okay.
What both teams play, really.
David De Gea is playing brilliantly. Ederson is doing okay. I think just from my style of play for this team, I'm sorry, I'm putting him in goal.
No. It's form. Who's better form? Okay, Ederson's been really good. I think
I'm putting him in goal. I think I have to give some sort of allowance. I'm putting him in. He's been good. De Gea's been good, but I think I want a short thing in with the playing out from the back with this team. So I'm going to put my foot on the ground with this one. I think I'm going to put Ederson in there. Left back, Luke Shaw. I think that inclusion right now speaks for itself in terms of form right now. He's been fantastic. I think, Cancelo was the best left back in the world last season, and he's been playing predominantly more right back this year, and Pep played him right wing in some games. So when I look at the left back position, I think Luke Shaw since the last derby has been really good, and I would put Luke Shaw in there. Left side centre back on Lisandro Martinez. Again, I think this inclusion does speak for itself. Like I said earlier on the show, I think he's been up there with William Saliba as one of the best centre backs in the league this season. He's been really consistent, and he's made such a difference to this team. He's been really good. Centre back, I was going to put Rafael Varane in, but due to his time out with injury, it's been very difficult to justify putting him in, because he's been he's been really good, but he didn't play at the start of the season, and then he got injured and he was out for nearly a month. So I'd love to put him in. At the end of the season, it could be a well different conversation. I think John Stones has to go in there.
I was going to say Stones. Stones has been amazing.
Stones has been really good, and he had a really good World Cup as well. So
and he's filled in right back and stuff. He's had to fill in it right back. He
did it right back at the start of the season, So I put Stones in beside Lisandro Martinez. I think, I think that's very fair. I think actually as a partnership, that would actually be a very good partnership.
Pretty good, It'd
be quite solid. John Stones. Right back's a tough one because I think Cancelo is a good he's a good defender, right? João Cancelo, for me at this moment in time, he's a good player. The quality is there, but his form as of late has been quite poor. And if we're picking this team on form right now, Kyle Walker's had injury problems this season. I'm putting Diogo Dalot in there. Now I'm going to have a lot. I know the minute this team goes up, I'm going to get shot. I know the minute this team goes up, but you have to consider one thing. Kyle Walker's been injured. João Cancelo, when he's played right back this season, has been quite poor. And City fans are even going off on him that he's playing poorly. I put Diogo Dalot in there because since the Brentford game, he's been quite consistent. He's been solid in this Man United team all season, and he's one of United's best defenders. Now, people are going to say City are higher in the league, but if you actually look at United defensively this season, he's been solid. He's been really good. Now, look, I know again, I don't care if people come at me. I really don't care, but that's the back 5 I'm giving you. To be fair, I could have put De Gea in goal, but I didn't because I think, credit where it's due. Ederson is a very good goalkeeper. So I will go there. Midfield 3. This is going to be. This is killing
me. There's one person has to go at the base, and then sort of the other two.
So like, look, I love. This is. Oh shit! This is. Right. Okay. Right. Casemiro's in. See, this is the thing. Like Rodri has been so good this season. Rodri's been really good. But if we're playing a 4-3-3, I'm not playing 2 6s because then we're going to have to play 4-2-3-1, and then I'm leaving. There's about 3 midfielders I could put in that 10 role. So, Rodri just misses out.
I think that's fair. I think you'd be. I don't think there's anyone that's unbiased that would be saying that Rodri's far and outright as like better than Casemiro. I think they're pretty much on a level playing field, and you can sort of pick either one.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going Casemiro, Kevin De Bruyne. That Kevin De Bruyne is an easy one. That's the easiest probably inclusion in this team.
Yes.
Kevin De Bruyne. I go. Here's the thing: I'd love to put Bruno Fernandes in there, but when I actually look at Bruno's form, he's been dipping in and out. He's played a lot better this season. When we done the combined 11 at the start of the season, he wasn't in it. Now he just about misses out now as well. But I do. He has improved. Christian Eriksen has played decent in patches this season as well. His assist rate's very good. Bernardo Silva has been good. Foden, he's not in my inclusion as a midfield player.
Gundogan's he's
always clutch.
He's always good, and he has been like.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bernardo Silva in there in my combined 11. I'm going to go Bernardo Silva. Now, Mark Biggs is going to say Christian Eriksen's had assists. Football is not all about statistics, and the hard yards that Bernardo Silva runs to that team and how he keeps that team ticking is something else.
He's so good,
yeah, like imagine him in this team. Oh my god, like in our team, he'd be brilliant. But so my midfield three is Casemiro, De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva. But I will say Christian Eriksen comes really close to getting in this midfield. But I do think what I would say is the games that Eriksen has played poor this season, he's been really bad. Like he's been really bad. Whereas when Bernardo Silva has an average game, he still might. He still does the hard yards, and he does a very good defensive job, and that I think a lot of people sleep on.
I had a person had Gundogan, and based on the season's form, but Bernardo Silva's easy as.
Yeah.
You go. I think Gundogan was a lot for them that doesn't get noticed.
Yeah, look, they're all good midfielders. Like, look, at the end of the day, I could literally could have started 2 defenders and played a whole midfield and then a front 3 or whatever. Like, I have to be honest, I have to go 4-3-3. We're not going to do the Yaya Toure formation in his all-time 11 when he went like 4-2-4 or something like that. I'm not going to do that. So look,
you could have put Bernardo on the right.
That was a thought process. It was part of my thought
process. That's what I would do. I'd go Gundogan and Bernardo on the right. Because no one from the is getting in on the right.
Phil Foden's on my right-hand side. Foden, I have on my right-hand side. Now, look, I think he gets in. His hat-trick in the derby against us. He's really good in the big games. Look, the stats mightn't be there, but look, again, he's such a key player to help Manchester City play football. And again, the stat merchants will come out and say he hasn't done this, hasn't done that, but Phil Foden has been a really good player. And look, he's one of the best young promising players in England right now. Now, look, the thing is, obviously, look, Anthony does have the goals there to kind of help his argument, but at the same time, Anthony missed more or less a month this season of football before the World Cup, and he's had a few flaky games in the Premier League since he's come back. So I would put Phil Foden on the right, but again, look, there's you can play around with this team, and you could put Rashford there, you could put other players there, there's. I don't play Marcus Rashford and right. Ralph Rangnick will not see heaven over that.
Ollie did it too.
At least he scored goals under Ollie when he done it.
I suppose.
But
fair enough. But that's where we sort of differ. I don't think based on this season's form I'd have Foden in unless it was on the left. But then the player that Man United are going to have in on the left is been fantastic. Exceeded all expectations.
Yeah, like Marcus Rashford makes in on the left for me. Like, look, 15 goals in 25 games. Like, And that's not even factoring his assists as well. He's got a couple of assists this season. So, look, he's been such a revelation this season, Marcus Rashford. He's been, like, if he keeps playing the way he's playing right now, he's going to get in team of the season at left midfield. I think he will. If he keeps in it this way, obviously, look, I think Gabriel Martinelli would probably have something to say about that as well. He's been fantastic. But Marcus Rashford right now has just been on fire. Now, hopefully, look, he can bring that into Saturday. But yeah, Rashford on the left, and look, Erling Haaland up top. And I'm going to give an explanation.
Don't have to, do you? He's going to get 40 goals.
Look, I can't put Weghorst in yet, lads.
And what?
But yeah, look, he's
so
fantastic. He's probably gonna break the record. He's probably gonna hit 40 league goals this season. Look, as much as I hate Man City and the fact Haaland also has a Leeds connection, I hate him even more. But like, look, at the end of the day, credit where it's due. He's been a monster. And at the end of the day, look, as much as you love your football club and you have your allegiance to your football club, you do have to admit that when a quality player and you see one, and look, that's unfortunately what Erling Haaland has been this season. And hopefully, like as we said earlier on the show, that Varane and Martinez can stop him. But just for people who've obviously come into the show,
make sure you go back and watch it.
Obviously go back to the start later on and just see what we talked about. We've had a very good discussion. But I will just name my combined 11 again, just for people just join now. So I have Ederson in goal, Dalot right back, John Stones and Martinez centre half, Luke Shaw left back, and then I have a midfield three of Casemiro, Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, and then a front three of Foden, Haaland and Marcus Rashford. That's going to come in 11. Obviously, again, like I said, I think Christian Eriksen is probably unfortunate to miss out, but look, I just go off, not just goals and assists. I think you have to look at other things that Bernardo's done in assists and why they're still second in the league, and despite at the moment not playing their best football. So,
no, I agree. They're still completely formidable, but you're right. I think that side now has a lot more Man United players in it than it did sort of at the start of the season when we played them the first time round at the Etihad. So, looking ahead to Saturday, obviously the early kickoff, which I don't mind the early kickoff on a Saturday. I'd much rather early kickoff on a Saturday than the late kickoff on the Sunday.
But I was hoping it'd be the late kickoff on Saturday because that means I get a lot of hours drinking in and I could stay. But it's the other way around. I'm going to get a lot of drinking done at the airport tomorrow, and then I'm going to fly over, be hungover in the morning, but then wake up like 8 bells, get McDonald's breakfast, and straight out to the whole game.
It'll be fine. And then you can drink after the game. It'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your score prediction for tomorrow then to wrap up?
I give my start 11 prediction first. And then
your start 11 prediction.
Obviously, De Gea between the nets. I don't think Jack Butland's going to play yet.
No, it's not. It's not 2011.
Yeah. Dalot, Varane, Martinez, Shaw. That's self-explanatory. I predict Casemiro, obviously, midfield. I'm torn over to Fred or Eriksen because I do think, will Ten Hag have the last derby in the back of his mind, and does he go a slight bit more conservative in midfield? I'm just thinking, what will he do? Or will he just have the thought process of, look, I've Casemiro there rather than McTominay, so he's going to give me more security. Can I afford to play Eriksen? I think that's good. I think that's his big decision this weekend, which one he plays. Could he go Casemiro and McTominay for that physical presence? Because City are physical as well at times. Could he go with that? I don't know. But McTominay on the ball, I would just worry City would use him as a trigger for the press. Look, I do think he won't play Eriksen. I'm not sure of it, but I think in the end he's going to go Casemiro and Fred because they have a partnership. They have an understanding from Brazil. He'll go Casemiro, Fred, and look, Bruno Fernandes will play. And I think having that midfield too of Casemiro and Fred, it gives Bruno the license to get forward and get involved in the box. I do think as well that, look, with Fred in midfield, he can help us with our turnovers and just give the ball to Bruno and let Bruno get them chances into Rashford, into Anthony, into I said Erling fucking Haaland there, into Martial. And then obviously, look, we may have a good option off the bench in the second half. But I'm going to go front three. I do think he'll go Anthony, Martial, and Rashford. Look, as much as Garnacho has been unreal this season, I just don't see him starting in this type of game.
No.
I just don't think, like, if I look at the Villa game, for example, I think defensively he's still a bit of a liability. As great as he is on the ball, I think defensively in this type of game, it's not suited to him. Look, not in the first half anyway. Now, maybe in the second half we're chasing the game, we can bring him on for a bit of individual brilliance. But I just do think at this moment in time, I think Rashford is the best option on the left, because I think, like, Kyle Walker's trying to play himself back into fitness and form. If they play Lewis, which is highly rumoured at the minute, then, like, look, that could be the same kind of battle that Rashford has with Trent. It could be something similar to that, you know. Look, there's so many different things that can be done, but I think with us at the moment, we have to pick our best possible 11 to win the game, regardless of what Pep does or doesn't do. I think we just have to pick the strongest team for this possible game. And look, whatever the manager does, I will trust. Like I did in the last game. Look, I seen the McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno midfield, and I had a shit attack before the game. I was like, this could be a rough day, and look, it ultimately ended up being that. Yeah. But look, whatever Ten Hag has up his sleeve, I will fully back. I fully trust it. Like, he's earned my trust this season. He's just been a revelation, and I think Erik Ten Hag, he's just such a good manager. He's a good man manager, and I think, like, look, I've seen a lot of comparisons, Greg, that a lot of people are comparing Erik Ten Hag to Sir Alex. I think, look, that's very unfair, because I do think, look, as great as he's been, you can't put that label on a man like that just yet. You can't do that right now. I think that's very unfair to him. I think you need to leave him have his own identity. Look, I think man management wise, I can see some similarities, how he deals with the situation. It's my way or the highway. But at the same time, like, look, Sir Alex is the greatest manager of all time. Like as much as, like, we're Man United and, like, you have to deal with pressure, I think that's pressure like that. Like, look, we've seen other managers fall to the sword at the club since then. Like, we've seen Van Gaal try to live up to it, Mourinho tried to live up to it, Ollie and Moyes. Look, I think it's something that we have to try to detach ourselves away from. Do you know? I think it's something you have to detach it. And that's not in a bad way. I'm not saying, like, look, we shouldn't talk about Sir Alex. We should always talk about Sir Alex. Like, look, he's our greatest.
He's the one-off, isn't he? He's not, can't be recreated. Like,
he's an anomaly. 27 and a half years, Greg. No one is going to do that. No one is going to do that. Do you know, football is a game where I don't think that long-term, like, look, there's long-term managers there that have been there like 6-7 years in certain jobs, but 27 years is different. Football was a different game then. Managers, unfortunately, if you don't get results, they don't have that patience right now. So, like,
if they don't have that body of work behind them, and I agree with what Richard says there, that he does have a quiet confidence, but I don't think it's a confidence in terms of, like, he thinks I just think he's got confidence in his own abilities, and he knows sort of what he's capable of with the right time and the right squad. And I think he is starting to find that with Man United. I think signing like Weghorst is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that's exactly what he wanted. I genuinely think that's what he wanted. Like, I think had Ronaldo gone in June, it would have been a player like Weghorst that came in. It wouldn't have been. I know there's people saying on Twitter that, oh, if Ronaldo had gone, we could have got Osimhen. Like, no, we wouldn't have got Osimhen. We don't have money. Like, it would have been a player like Weghorst. It would have been a Choupo-Moting. It would have been.
If the thing didn't happen with Sebastian Haller, obviously that unfortunate issue didn't happen with Haller, could we have gone in for him earlier? If Ronaldo left earlier, do you know, like that?
Exactly. It would have been a player like that. It wouldn't have meant he would in for anyone else. Like, and I think that might have been the reason he wanted Darwin Núñez. Now, I think Núñez has been sort of proven to not be that, but that big, physical, athletic presence, I think that's what he wanted, and I think that's what I think.
That's why the Harry Kane links right now, Greg, are so prevalent at the moment, because if we
that's
get
what
that,
he's going to get.
He's perfect for Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah, that's what he's going to get, and that's why I didn't think João Felix was a massive loss to Man United. Didn't think Man United needed another 9.5 that can also play out wide. I think Man United needed a number 9, and I think Weghorst will bring that. I would love to see him play on Saturday. Like,
Well, Whoa. I'm sorry for cutting you off, right? I'm actually really sorry for cutting off. Okay, I know Fulham won, right? Guess who got man of the match?
Andres Pereira. The pre-season Pirlo.
Oh, I love
what
that
a guy.
I love Andres Pereira, and anyone who watches this podcast would know that Reece Russell, of all people, just keeps berating him. Well, do you know what, Reece? You can get
what
one
a player.
Of them, another one of them.
What a guy.
Oh, he's some player. What a player.
Unbelievable. Can't believe actually that one of the, I think it's like one of the 4 players or something that have left Man United in the last X number of time they've actually got a fee for. Because we don't get fees for players. We don't sell players. We just let them leave. So yeah, we actually got money for Andres Pereira, and Fulham are making use of it. But it's funny. Like Richard says, Chelsea now in 10th, which is hilarious. Their season is proper crumbling. But I agree with you on that starting 11. I think that's the strongest one he has. I think that's the one he'll go with. I think the last derby will play in his mind with Eriksen. I think if we're up with 15 to go, Eriksen could come on.
Maybe
but I think he'd come on for
and,
I think he'd come on for Bruno. Yeah, I don't think he'd come on for Fred. I think he'd come on for Bruno. And I'm hoping Dalot's going to be fit. I know he got a knock, but it looked precautionary on.
If Dalot isn't fit, Wan-Bissaka can come in. He can have them games that he has had against City in the past. Then, that's
Wan-Bissaka redemption story 2023. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ten Hag likes him or not. I don't know.
It's mad because I do think when Eaton there comes back from loan, I think he may get a chance next season because how good he's been. I do think because he has that balance where he's good in defense and he's good on the ball. And I think that's something that Ten Hag was impressed with in pre-season as well. So, it's interesting.
No, I agree. I don't know what will happen. But
we've 3 very good right backs right now. You know what I think? They all have their own.
We'll get money for Wan-Bissaka. We'll get a fee for Wan-Bissaka if he's moved on. It'll be fine. So last thing to do is score prediction for Saturday. I'm going to go first. I think 2-2.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah, I think 2-2. I don't know what. I just have a feeling that we're not quite there yet, but this is going to be. I'm going to be able to look back on this and hopefully a couple of years' time and being like, remember that 2-2 draw against Man City after being battered 6-3? That'll be a marking point to be like when this United side became, and we started to look at it as so we're just this many pieces away or this many pieces away. I know we've had that in the past with previous managers. Under Josie, we were probably a centre back away because we had Matic in his prime. Under Ollie, we might even been a holding midfielder away. We'll never know. But I just think 2-2, a solid result, Wout Weghorst goal, just to shut up Sean. God,
Richard's gone.
2-1. Finish Shakhtar. He is.
Yeah, he has. We've been impressed with that. Richard says 2-1.
I think you've got to be confident, but I'm so scarred from City. I can't predict us to beat City until it's something that we just do on the regular. You're going as well, so that's extra pressure. What you predict now is going to be completely different to what you predict half an hour before kickoff.
Half an hour before kickoff, I'm probably going to be. Well, I'm going to be in the Munich tunnel.
4-0.
I'm going to be in the Munich tunnel. Obviously into protest.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0 United. I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to go 2-0 and something just tells me. I just Shane Dowdy would say I'm getting them feelings. I'm going to go 2-0 United. Look, I just want this result. I want us to win.
I want it so bad.
And a clean sheet. Look, if we can win 2-0 and keep a clean sheet against Manchester City, that would be a statement. That would send shockwaves through the league. And especially Arsenal will be looking at that it'd be a good statement going to the Emirates. Obviously, look, we Palace away right before that. But obviously, it'd be a good statement going to the Emirates if we get that type of result.
Ridiculously tough games to get in a row. Why on earth did they move that Palace game to there?
Because the Premier League are absolute scum. that's probably me getting any bit of a role in the Premier League gone, but look, who gives a shit? Look, they're scum. Yeah, look, I'm going 2-0. You know what?
I like
just to add that extra bit of spice to my score prediction, Marcus Rashford anytime goal scorer.
Weghorst.
I'm going to go Marcus because look, knowing United, we don't get that deal over the line by 12:30 tomorrow, and we can't register him. So
I think it's probably done. I think it'll be announced tomorrow.
Yeah, but just in case that United are United, I'm just going to go Rashford anytime. And the other one, for my good friend Cara.
Anthony.
Lisandro.
Lisandro hit. And you scored a header the other night.
Yeah.
He was very close scoring a header the other night.
With a cleaver.
Oh, what a chance. 2-0's bold. I like it. But let's just hope that the right Man United turn up and we get performance. That was my reaction when you said that to me.
This was Greg Chambers' reaction, guys, when I said 2-0.
That's bold. Very, very bold. But I just, if we get the right Man United to turn up, we get a good performance, then and things start looking in the right direction, then we're okay.
Yeah.
But I think that wraps up our preview of the Manchester derby. As you said, the biggest derby in the last decade. But you are probably right. And hopefully we're sat here doing the preview for Crystal Palace next week. And we're sat with 3 points, having beat the noisy neighbours. And hopefully haven't beat them 2-0, because that would be a fantastic prediction by you. But enjoy the game, Keane. I'm sure you will. Try and remember the game.
And try not get arrested,
And try not to get arrested. And yes, Richard, Barcelona in a few weeks as well, which is... The big games don't stop when you're Man United, it seems. But
that's what when you're the biggest club in the world, every game is fucking massive.
Exactly.
And just look, we hit that outro video, guys. Look, we've a Manchester City journalist coming on the show tomorrow. I'll give you the release time on the Weekly Armchair Twitter tomorrow morning. So we do have a Man City journalist coming on, and we will be getting the opposition side from Manchester City. We'll talk about the game in more detail. I'll be hosting that one, and it'll be the first opposition preview we've actually done in quite some time. So, look, as much as we support Man United here, it's always good to see opposition insight as well. So, and obviously from a journalistic point of view as well, because he covers United and Man City. So, we'll reveal all tomorrow. So that'll be grand. Look, thanks very much, everyone, for listening in and who's watching on the replay as well. And don't forget to smash a like in the video and also hit that subscribe button as well. Look, we've a lot of content coming up on the channel. Like there's games every fucking 3 days, so you're not going to get sick of it. Trust me. Obviously, we will have the Mark and Sean show as well, that will be coming up on the show as well in the next couple of weeks as well. So do make sure to check that out as well. But tonight's been a very good podcast. Thanks to Greg for hosting as per usual. Thanks to everyone with your comments as well. And thanks Andreas Pereira for an absolute brilliant performance tonight. But this has been This has been Devil's Advocate, and hopefully Manchester United go out and make a statement and get the 3 points this weekend. But until tomorrow, guys, we'll see you later.